All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for all of your patience. We are ready to kick off our first day and our first session of Judging for MarketMake. Real quick, this has been an amazing event for us. This is our first event for this year. We have 490 hackers that are hacking today, and they are from 58 different countries spanning 17 different time zones. And together, they have worked on 120 projects. So this is our first judging session. We'll be looking at a subset of these projects today. And I want to quickly just cover the format of this session and then move on to our very first demo. So each team will have about 8 minutes in total, from where 4 minutes of them are dedicated to a video demo that they pre-recorded, and the rest 4 minutes, remaining 4 minutes go for a Q&A from our judges. And we'll also be doing a 2 to 3 minute break every 4 minutes for the judges to just talk among themselves and sort of clarify any questions as part of this process. And then we'll do a 10-minute break halfway through, about an hour or so mark. And that's kind of the format we'll prefer. And we'll obviously keep this somewhat fluid to account for any changes or differences in the agenda. So the way everything has been set up, the criteria for how judging is going to work today is as follows. There's going to be 5 categories we'll be scoring our teams on based on how technical, original, and practical the project is, along with how the user interface or developer interface has been addressed for the given project for the intended audience. And then we also have a category that we like to call the wow factor, which functions as a catch-all for our events for any categories or any things that we have missed from the 4 categories above. And before we move on to our first demo, I want to just remind everybody that this is not a competition. People presenting here and who are participating at this hackathon are here to learn. They're not aiming to become businesses. Our goal is to make sure that they get the resources and the freedom to play with and experiment with what they are passionate about, and also really showcase the things that they've been working on for the past few weeks. So the hackers here are very much to get feedback, and the goal is to design this whole experience to give them that today. And doing the hard jobs are going to be our 3 judges. And I have messed up the slides. I'll be quickly going through our judges. Stani Kulechov from Aave, we have Mentia from ConsenSys, and we have Chapman from Coinbase, who we're going to be looking at all of our projects and commenting on and giving their feedback to all of our teams. So without further ado, I'd like to move on to our very first team for today, and that is Team Winvoy. And we have Dragos and Diego and Yura from the team. So whenever you're ready, please feel free to share your demo.
This is Winvoy. You get paid now, your B2B clients pay later. Most B2B payments happen on net terms. This means that you deliver your work or product and you won't get paid until a few months later. This has a big effect on your short-term cash flow. Traditionally, this problem is solved by financial providers that buy your outstanding invoices at a discount and advance you some money. Most of these providers offer full book factoring, meaning that they finance all invoices for a certain client. And in the case of selective invoice finance providers, they tend to take between 24 to 48 hours, if not more, every time you want to receive in advance a particular invoice. There has to be a better way. Winvoy is a decentralized invoice finance platform that allows companies to extend flexible payment terms to their B2B clients. Now, how does it work? Let's imagine there are the following participants. Acme, small company selling to other companies. They use Winvoy to request payments, create invoices, and get access to invoice finance. Big company is Acme's client. They request the vendors to invoice them in net 90. Winvoy and Aave as our liquidity provider. Let's see it in action. Let's say I'm Acme and I send BigCo a payment request for $120,000. I would go to my Payments tab, request a new payment, select BigCo, enter the amount without the VAT, which will be added there, and offer them 2 payment options. Pay now, let's say with a 3% discount, if they pay me within 1 day, or pay the full amount in 90 days as they request all their vendors. I review the payment request, and it's sent to BitCo. Now, I'm BitCo. I will get a payment request and see the payment options. Let's say in this case, I prefer to pay in 90 days. I sign the invoice, and I can see that it was tokenized and created, and I can download it from here. Now back to Aave, I see that BitCo wants to pay by invoice in 90 days, but I have the option to advance some of this amount. I click advance, and I see that I can get part of this money for 1% per month. I select $30,000, click borrow, and I get the money. Now after those 90 days, it's time for BitCo to pay the invoice. They would go to a Winvoy checkout page, pay the $120,000, and they're done. At this point, Aave will get the remaining amount. So what happened in the background? When BitCo decides to pay by invoice, the invoice is created and tokenized. At that point, the Winvoy protocol checks the rates for the availability liquidity pools, in this case Aave's. The Winvoy app checks the invoice risk score based on the combination of the credit score of the borrower, the client, and other factors. It adds a fee based on this risk and offers a facility to Aave. If Aave accepts the conditions, Winvoy borrows the requested amount from Aave, providing the necessary collateral, and deposits the funds in Aave's account. When BitCo pays the invoice, the Winvoy protocol will reroute part of the payment to Aave to repay the loan, keep the fee, and send the remaining balance to Aave. We will continue working on finishing the credit risk model, building Winvoy protocol, and the UX for liquidity providers. That's Winvoy. You get paid now, your B2B clients pay later. Thanks so much.
Awesome. That was a really cool polished demo, and thanks for going first. So what I'll do is I'll just let Alex and then kind of kick us off with any comments or questions.
That was really cool, team. I love sort of business-based applications of a lot of our cool DeFi applications, so a protocol. So, bravo for that very, very creative and professional demo. I guess my first question is, what other features do you want to build out with the Winvoy protocol?
So the main one, we were thinking about potentially combining all the invoices. So instead of allowing the company to withdraw or advance the money invoice by invoice, we could potentially combine all the tokenized invoices, create some sort of credit facility or credit line backed by those invoices, and just make the process more transparent for the user, so that they know they have this many invoices outstanding and they can withdraw or advance however many dollars they can.
That was very cool. I actually had a question. I may have missed this too. What kind of happens if the liquidity providers from Lend provide the liquidity, and then the business decides they don't actually want to fulfill the payment? Like, is there any, like, what's the thought there on how that can get people can be made whole, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we're looking at it from 3 different perspectives. One of them, we are thinking about having a credit insurance on the invoices. So every single invoice will be insured. Then on top of that, we will basically divert part of the fee that we earned to create like a deposit, basically balance or whatever. And then apart from that, what we can do is offer these invoices to debt recovery agents, like basically brick and mortar companies that can then go and chase for these payments. Obviously, we would sell those invoices or the rights to the invoices at a discount, but between the 3, we believe that we can basically mitigate the risk as much as possible.
Cool. I've sort of one more similar question too. Do you think it'd be a problem right now, given like the DeFi space, the ridiculous APYs people are getting, convincing sort of liquidity providers within the Aave platform to put their money up in these sort of things where there's potentially juicier APYs?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a potential problem that we have. What we're thinking is, if we advance invoices at 2% per month, let's say, it's 24% APR. And if we offer that on stablecoins, it's not the greatest yield that you can offer in this day and age, but it still is a pretty good one. Plus, it's not correlated with the crypto industry. It's correlated with the, let's say, traditional economy. So we believe that for some investors' profiles might be interesting.
Yeah, quick question. I look at your project, and one of the things that came to my mind is that have you considered like some sort of like tokenization of the receivables, and then somehow using them as, you know, collateral to draw more liquidity, and this way kind of like a supercharging the activity?
Absolutely. Actually, we tokenize the invoice when we present the payment option to the payer, to the final payer. They will have to select the payment term. When they decide to pay by invoice, at that point they have to sign. So we tokenize that. And what we want to do is exactly what you're saying, trying to use that as collateral.
Interesting. Is that ERC-71 in that case?
We're not actually tokenizing it yet. We're just signing it for now and checking that it's signed by Winvoy. But yeah, we know what you're saying. You're saying like tokenizing it, like making it an NFT. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So non-fungible will be that's quite interesting.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to the team. And if you have more questions for our judges, we'll just relay them to you directly over Discord. So with that, we'll move on to our second project, and that is team LevAave. So I'll have them share their video now.
Hi everyone, this is team LevAave. LevAave is a user-friendly platform for leveraging non-custodial positions on-chain. It is powered by industry-leading protocols Aave and 1inch. What's the motivation behind it? Enable everyday users to open on-chain positions with just a few clicks. Existing protocols are very confusing and have a UX centered around power users. The users also need to verify and trust the protocol. Being powered by Aave, we support all tokens available on Aave with deep liquidity and high trust factor. Using 1inch, our users also get the best market swap rates. Using LevAave dashboard, users can open multiple long and short positions, monitor their health factor, and close them all with just a few clicks. Here is an overview of our protocol. Let's have a look at it with a simple example where user wants to go 3x long on link using WETH as collateral. The user deposits 1 WETH to LevAave. We take a flash loan of 2 WETH from Aave. We swap the 3 WETH for equivalent amount of link. In this case, it comes to around 200 on 1inch. Next, we deposit 200 link on Aave as collateral and borrow a sum of 2 WETH plus the flash loan premium. We repay the flash loan and the premium. Okay. So next, as you can see at the end of the transaction, the user will be left with A-Link tokens and a debt of 2 WETH against it on Aave. So here I present to you the LevAave platform. On the left hand section, you can configure and open up new positions. Once you open up a position, it's going to show up here in the positions tab, and you can close them with just one click. So from the example discussed before, let's go ahead and create a 3x long position on link using WETH as collateral. Here I have selected WETH from the tokens. I have selected link from the token. I have put in the collateral amount. I have selected 3x leverage. You can configure your slippage tolerance and keep an eye out on the estimated health factor from here. Once done, just press on this flash long. Your MetaMask is gonna pop up a few times and just click on confirm. And voila, it's done. As you can see, it shows you the pair, the loaned amount, the position, and the leveraged asset, and the actual health factor here. And with just one click, you can also close this position. Done. Finally, let's have a look at what the future holds. We want to provide our users with ease of mind by automating the stop loss and take profit feature. We want to notify our users about possible liquidations and associated health factor risks. We want to implement Chi gas tokens and thus save up to 43% gas on 1-inch swap fees. And finally, we want to enable better decision making by providing data and statistics about multiple tokens on the platform itself. Thank you guys.
That was great. Thanks so much for that video. I'll let our judges jump in.
Hey, that was very cool. I actually had a very specific question from the last slide. Exactly how would you guys want to automate the stop loss and take profit? Like, have you any thoughts for how you do that?
So we have a couple of ideas. For example, we looked at the Gelato platform that could automate the execution of the function when the price of a certain asset based on what the user chose as stop loss or take profit, which could be fetched with a Chainlink Oracle price feed. And so yeah, we talked about that. We could solve in that way.
This is really cool, guys, and I think the UI is definitely very unique. So congrats on that. I'll definitely remember it. In sort of today's like high gas price environments, like you have a lot of contract calls there. Like, how do you think about minimizing that for your users?
So yes, don't know if it was you would see it in the presentation. At the moment, to open a long position, it costs 1 million gas. And we think we can save a bit by removing the storage. At the moment, we are saving the positions on storage to show it in the front end. We can save a bit by implementing a subgraph. But actually, for our estimation, at the moment, we think we cannot go below around 700, 800,000 because of the cost of all the operation on Aave and 1-inch. So yeah, with the current fees on Aave, we think around 700, 800 could be the best optimization.
I was thinking that this is actually kind of similar question for as opposed to the previous project, but for a reason, are those positions tokenized? So let's say you create a position. Is there actually like a fungible token for that? Let's say yeah, that's something interesting because in one way you could create like a long and short position at the same time, and then practically you end up having like a stable coin, or you create a position just 1x short, you have a kind of a stable coin. And that's kind of like interesting about this. And also if the positions are tokenized, it's kind of like and you have some sort of orders, let's say stop losses and so forth, might create a interesting, like some sort of secondary market. I don't know if there's like a demand for anything like that, but just quite interesting.
Yeah, at the moment the positions are not tokenized, so the smart contract is completely non-custodial and basically just interact with the Aave pools and the 1-inch swap, and the user just ends up with a position on Aave basically. But actually we talked about tokenizing the positions. We don't have specific answer like on how to do it at the moment, but yeah, we think it would be a cool idea. Also, like other platform are have tried, I guess. I'm not sure if there's something on working, but yeah, there's another app that I was seeing that they were trying those tokenized positions.
Cool, cool, nice project. I really like the idea. Like, it's kind of like with the two different protocols you achieve it pretty well.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, LevAave. And with that, we'll move on to our third demo, and that is Team DropletPool. So whenever you're ready, Sing, feel free to share your screen.
Hi, everyone.
Nice background.
Good. Yeah. Most internet users were spoiled by some form of free service. The problem is that they're not really free. In January, WhatsApp announced its updated user terms and agreement. All of a sudden, users start concerning about their privacy and spark a migration to other messaging apps like Signal and Telegram. Signal gains more than 7.5 million users between January 6 and 10. Shortly after that, Signal's service was down for almost a day because of the overwhelming news users. It is questionable how many more free users Signal can support with its current business model. All we know is that users do not like service that came to be free but actually selling your data. Decentralized solutions sound perfect, where users have direct control over the data. However, users do not want to pay for any similar service as it has been free for them the whole time. And how can we transition consumers from so-called free service to pay-per-use decentralized service? Let me present you DropletPool. It is a nodeless membership DeFi application. The concept is easy to understand. Users stake a certain amount of coins to join a membership offered by a service provider. DropletPool would deposit the stake into Aave and deliver the yield to the service providers periodically. When the user no longer needs the membership, he or she can simply withdraw 100% of the stake and virtually enjoy the membership for free. It is a new form of nodeless and decentralized membership model unlocked by the powerful DeFi. Let's check out the demo. Let's pretend we are a service provider, and let's create a new membership program. And you can specify the stake price. And for creating a membership program, we actually need to stake one time. The yield will actually go to DropletPool for maintaining this service. That's it. Let's say we are a user, and then we can search for a membership program to join on this platform. So we're going to showcase join this particular Discord membership program here. And it's showing that we need to stake one time to join this program. Then we're going to showcase how integration can be done with this smart contract and DropletPool. So for the Discord cases, we have integrated a DropletPool robot for the Discord. And now I had joined the membership program, and I can go into this general channel to ask the bot to log me in. It will give me a $500K link, which will bring me back to a web page with my wallet connected, and then we'll $500K with my wallet. And then now I will go back to the Discord, will show me that I already have the VIP channel added. So let's say now the user changed his or her mind and want to withdraw from the program. So you can simply unsubscribe here, and then we get all our stake back, and we check the Discord again. So the VIP channel is no longer there. We have been removed it from the VIP channel automatically. In this demo, we have showcased how DropletPool can provide a lossless membership to users, how users can take full control on the subscription and enjoy the membership for free, as well as how service providers can utilize such a defined application to earn yield and communicate with its members.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that demo. I'll let our judges dig in.
Thank you, Singh. That was very cool. Are there any sort of, there are obviously some cool like DeFi communities that I think will really lean into what you're building. But do you have any sort of like, Web2 communities in mind that you think this will be very relevant for, and you can sort of use it as a crypto onboarding mechanism of sorts?
I aware that there is a big, blockchain and cryptocurrency community. And the thing is that most of them would try to open up, their own Discord server, and then there are, many users on there. And then some of them they're utilizing to provide support as well. However, they would like to keep those support servers free. But then the problem is that there are too many people bombarding the support team. So I picture that would be a interesting target power customer that would provide this kind of loss lag and state-based membership that people need to stake to join a support Discord channel to ask questions.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We'll have to ask Stani. I mean, the Aave Discord is certainly very active all the time.
Yeah, that could be a potential place. That's pretty interesting. I really like the way that you actually use Discord here in this hack, and that was this could be actually a way of creating if someone has like subscription services, getting free subscriptions, that could be also like a way to scale this thing.
I think the whole idea is seem to be simple, but it's actually an important one. Is that technically we have a lot of perfect or amazing things happening for the Web3 and the decentralized communities. However, it's still a little bit difficult to get into the mainstream market because of the economical reason that people are spoiled by the free service. So how to transition that and draft more of those user momentum and mass into the community, I think is important.
Definitely.
I just want to say this is very cool. I'm actually more so than any specific question against it, I'm just curious what you think, like the kind of next, if you had more time to do more stuff on it, what's the next thing you would add to it?
That's a lot to be added. However, one thing I would like to get a better understanding is to put it, well, actually it's already on the testnet. I would like to get some more feedback from the community and see, how they like or do not like this kind of product, and how we can do better on that before I invest more time into the technical aspect of it.
Great, and maybe I was just gonna put in a question on myself. You kind of sort of talked about this on the video, but what's next on? Are you planning to continue working on this? What are you looking to add or test?
So I get it on the testnet, so we'll try to do some more testing there, and then the next thing is to get it on the mainnet and find some potential pilot user on it. And one more thing that I have in mind is that is if it turn out there's a demand, that we can actually turn the membership into a NFT token and make the membership transferable. However, my question is that do the service provider and the user really like this kind of thing or not? Or is actually too technical for them to digest on that end?
That's a really cool concept. I think it'll be pretty fun to have a secondary market for memberships. But sounds great. Well, thank you so much for presenting today, and thanks for working on this cool hack. With that, we are ready to move on to our next team, and that is Project Paladin. So I see Maxim is already here. So whenever you're ready, feel free to share your video. Looks like the audio is not coming through. So maybe just have you try one more time. We're not getting the audio. You just have to exit the screen share and then click the sound box one more time.
Hey everyone, so
Perfect.
for Maker's Meet, we wanted to try and flesh out the idea of a governance lending protocol that we like to call Paladin. The idea behind it is that we want to polarize speculators and on-chain governance activists. For financial protocols, it is very important to have a decentralized governance, not only for idealistic reasons, but also for regulatory and economic reasons. This essential aspect of decentralization has not been worked on very much yet, and we'd like to tackle it. The idea behind what we're trying to do is that we're trying to create a new money Lego that allows speculators to earn extra yield on their governance tokens while allowing a governance activist to borrow more voting power and be more active on their governance system. So how does our protocol work? Basically, you can choose to ask for more voting power by just choosing how much votes you need more, for example, to launch a new protocol. You choose your termination date, the time until you need your voting power, and you just have to pay upfront the fee. You click borrow, and after that, you can check in your balances. What are your active loans, either extend or close them, and how much total value you actually have. Where it becomes really interesting is that you can actually choose any token that gives you voting power. So outside of a classical Aave token, for example, you can actually stake your own Aave in the safety module and stake the staked Aave, which is just a token that gives you voting power. And basically, that's enough for us. So if you don't intend to vote, you can add extra yield to your token. Okay, technically, the way it works is that when a user deposits the tokens, it goes in a mother pool, and when another user requests to borrow some voting power, we create a loan pool dedicated to the amount of voting power that he has asked. And that's where it gets really cool. We actually don't give him the tokens, but we delegate the voting power to him, which means that we don't need any collateral in order to accept a loan. So to summarize, Paladin is a governance lending protocol that allows non-collateralized loans of voting power of any tokens granting voting power. That means that you can use maybe indexes, yield interest-bearing tokens on top of the actual governance token, as long as it has some voting power. With this protocol, we can actually build a much more robust governance, not only by polarizing users, but also by creating, for example, automated delegates for unborrowed voting power, and actually ensure a much more important and decentralized efficiency of the voting power. There are a lot of ideas behind what we can still do, but we would actually need more time and funds. Thank you very much for listening.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that, Raymond. Oh, Maxim, I'll let the judges dig in and ask any questions. There's a lot of surface area here.
This is extremely cool. I like the idea of a platform basically for vote buying. I'm curious if you've thought about for like governance tokens with voting that don't have like delegation systems built in or have locking. Like I'm curious kind of how you would like think about potentially implementing something for Curve, like to support this, because I still think it'd be useful there. I feel like that'd be maybe involved a little more. Yeah, curious your thoughts.
So to be honest, we haven't thought about Curve yet, for the simple reason that we need to integrate each different token following its governance architecture, right? So right now we're focusing on the ones that have the delegate function, and we'll think about Curve later. But I definitely agree it's going to be a big one to integrate.
I could say that this is very interesting. I mean, because traditionally the kind of like a thing with governance tokens and the discussion with voting power is that, you know, there might be a whale that comes and just puts a big collateral and borrows, for good or for bad, but that's like one interesting part. So it's always been like collateralized thing, right? And what we have here is the system that you actually don't need a collateral. So this is a very fascinating innovation. And how it works technically. So let's say there are people who delegate the votes to a vault because you can't redelegate, right? Or somehow, like, once you set up this agreement, then you get the delegate from whoever you're buying, more or less. I mean, for borrowing those delegated votes.
Oh, Valentine, looks like we're not getting audio.
Yeah, my bad. I was.
There we go.
Okay, so what we do is first so the yield farmer just gonna deposit, let's say, his Aave token on one of our pool, and so we get an RC20 that represents how much he put in the pool, and how much value he's gonna get from the interest and stuff. And when someone asks for a loan, so he say he want like 300 tokens worth of voting power, we're just gonna pop a new smart contract and send those Aave token to this new smart contract and delegate from the contract to the borrower, and that way he's gonna get the voting power, just the amount he paid for, and we can keep the tokens in a smart contract that's controlled by the pool and the protocol.
Got it. So here in this case, you're using basically the let's say Aave tokens, not the Aave, or well, actually that's not, you can't vote for it at this moment, but let's say you could just so the idea is that you deposit the tokens, let's say Aave tokens, into the contract, and then you make the delegation once someone is getting it, right? More or less.
Yeah. Because we can delegate part of the balance, we need to create new small contracts to move the funds and delegate just the portion the loaner asks for, and not the whole stacked pool we have in our protocol. So we do that by just having lot of little small contracts that hold a certain amount and delegates to one user.
Cool.
And when the user paid like for 2 weeks and the 2 weeks are done, we just kill the contract and send back our funds and the fee paid to the main pool. So we increase the interest and create values for the liquidity providers.
Cool. Nice. Very cool.
Well, awesome. If there are no more comments, we'll be taking a quick 3-minute break for our judges. So I'll kind of have you join the second URL that's in your email. We'll be back in 3 minutes with the team ExtraCredit presenting next. And congrats again on demoing this one, Paladin. I'm particularly excited about the activist investing here. That's going to happen in DeFi. So this is great.
Thank you for your time.
Amazing. All right. So we'll just put everybody on mute and turn videos off, and we'll be back in 3 minutes. All right, everybody, we are ready to resume and kick off with our 5th demo. So I'll just wait for all 3 of our judges to come back and quickly just acknowledge that they're back here as well. So I think we're waiting on Stani. And then a few seconds in, that's just perfect. So all of us are here. Let's have Thibaut from ExtraCredit kick off with their demo.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present.
Hi, my name is Thibaut and welcome to ExtraCredit, a margin lending solution where both depositors from Aave and borrowers can boost their yield farming rewards. We were driven to tackle a few challenges that currently undermine the DeFi market. The yield farming season is rather unfair to less crypto wealthy people, as the bigger your portfolio, the higher the reward in USD amount. Transaction fees also currently hold back market participants with smaller DeFi holdings. Lastly, the current borrowing lending infrastructure requires over-collateralization to take loans and not enable you to take 6 to 7 digit loans with a 4 or 5 digit portfolio. At the same time, there are several opportunities to find a solution to these problems. Billions worth of funds unused sitting on protocols such as Aave, a yield farming season with 2 or 3 digit ROI being common all over the place, but also credit delegation and Aave feature. Lastly, a lot of depositors lazy to seek for higher yield and just leaving their funds deposited on Aave. On the other side, some farmers extremely active in finding opportunities that could benefit from a much bigger portfolio. Enter ExtraCredit, an application using Aave credit delegation and matching small yield farmers with large Aave depositors. Profile of credit delegators include people who are lacking the time to seek for a higher yield. By using our product, they will be rewarded with a boosted yield on top of the Aave deposit rate. Profile of the yield farmers using our product are a high activity at seeking the best yield in the market. They are also active at managing their yield allocation and rebalancing assets across farms. They originally have little crypto assets holdings and cannot leverage from large loans. The product works in a relatively simple way. Depositors on one side deposit their A tokens to a credit pool and delegate their credit line to a margin pool. Borrowers on the other side interact with the margin pool that is itself connected to investments. They can interact with the investment connected to our product and need to deposit a margin amount in their margin account along with the borrowed interest rate that is used to repay the running interest on the loan. Reward allocation from the investment is dynamically computed following a rate management system that ensures the overall liquidity in the system.
Hi, I'm Fred from the ExtraCredit team, and I'm going to show you our app. Our app is divided into the depositor side and the borrower side. Let's start with the depositors. Into the credit pool. Nice. I have an event confirming the deposit. I can now have a look at my dashboard and see the top. I will receive from the investment that the borrower will make. Let's have a look at the borrower side now. This is where ExtraCredit shines at its best because investors can borrow a significant amount of DAI compared to their margin amounts. Let's have a look. The borrowers can also choose their favorite investment platforms and the duration of the credit delegation lines. There are some tooltips to guide you throughout the form. Once the borrower is finished, he can have a look at his dashboard and see the total borrowed amounts, his total account holdings, which includes the total margin plus the borrower amounts. He can also have a look at his reward allocation ratio, which is pretty good right now. He will receive most of the yield rewards. The solvency ratio looks pretty healthy since it's above the 115 limits we've put in.
Thank you, Team ExtraCredit. There's a lot going on here, so I'm sure there's going to be a handful of questions from our judges, and I'll let them kick this off.
Yep.
I have a question about the how do you do the credit delegation? Are you looking A tokens or are you using the native credit delegation in Aave?
So we are using both. So the A tokens holders deposit their A tokens to the credit pool, and then they choose which amount they want to delegate out of those the delegation power they have out of those A tokens. So they have to fill two information. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good solution actually.
This is really cool and quite complex. Like, if you don't mind, would you mind explaining like how you sort of split the reward between the borrowers and the credit pool, and how does that sort of factor into like incentivizing liquidity providers as well? I might have missed that.
Sure. Yeah, so the amount that was shown in the videos was actually the reward split. So we have integrated the yarn vault, for instance, and let's say the DAI yarn vault harvest like 20%. So we have a reward split out of those 20%. And for that, we actually used we got inspired by the risk framework formula from Aave. So we use the same formula for the borrow rate, and then we just do for the borrower side, and then we just do 1 minus the borrow rate for the reward that goes to the depositor side, and then we think like the combination of both would incentivize like more depositors to come in if there are too many borrowers, and vice versa.
This is very interesting. So I mean, I I'm characterizing this right, but it's kind of like crowdsourcing. Effectively, it ends up being large capital providers getting like index fund management crowdsourced by random people, kind of how I view it. Yeah. So I'm curious, like, do you think the reduction in rates that the capital providers actually get from that, do you think they'd find that worthwhile, like kind of outsourcing their capital allocation to randos? I actually don't know. Like, that might be very, very valuable. I'm curious.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think the risk. You're right. Like the risk. How do you say? Like the risk profile of the depositors will be important. So like we'll have to make sure like the platform looks as safe as possible, and maybe probably like some incentivization at the beginning with some extra token would be important as well. Yeah.
So does the risk matter? Is there some sort of margin calls, let's say, or if someone can,
Yeah. So if you so we by the way, like the borrower has to deposit some margin, and the margin a small amount of the margin amount is used to pay the running interest, right, on the loan. And if let's say there is some impermanent loss coming from the investment in the vault, for instance, or in the LP, whatever, then the borrower can get immediately liquidated.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if there are no more comments,
cool.
I want to thank
thank you
for doing this demo, and I hope you continue building this.
Thank you very much.
So with that, let's move on to our next team. And it looks like they've been promoted already. So whenever you're ready, feel free to kick off. State your name. Yeah. Here we go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to my presentation for the MarketMake 2021 Hackathon. I'm Daniel Chilvers, and this is Stake Your Name. I originally went into this with the idea of forming a team. However, when it came to pitching my skills, I think my CV let me down a little. This is my first hackathon, and I only started learning Solidity at the beginning of this year. I've never had a GitHub account, and my only experience of Terminal was that I thought Tom Hanks was great in it. So I had to go solo. The idea for Stake Your Name came out of one of my first crypto purchases, my Ethereum name service name, and I happened to notice that it's due to run out later this year. I wanted to renew it, but was reluctant as it would cost more in gas fees than the renewal costs. As I delayed in renewing, I realized that as the Ethereum price goes up, the amount of Ether it costs to renew your name goes down. This is because ENS prices are tied to the US dollar. In fact, renewing 1 month ago would have cost 70% more Ether than today, and 3 months ago it would have cost 3 times the amount, and so Stake Your Name was born. I'd estimate that 90% of this project is the Solidity code itself. There's a lot going on in the background, and plenty of other services it integrates with. The user isn't aware of any of this though. They simply deposit some tokens that are stored in their own vault contract, and they can withdraw the tokens at any time if they want. They can also add an ENS name to the vault, and Stake Your Name will renew it as required. Behind the scenes, there's a lot more going on. Skip the long explanation. We deposit tokens to Aave in order to renew our ENS names. Aave gives interest on our deposits. We check if ENS names need renewing, estimate their cost using Chainlink oracles. We find the Chainlink oracles using ENS. Then we check the exchange rate on 1inch, verify that rate on Chainlink, withdraw the tokens from Aave, exchange for Ether on 1inch, pay ENS for the name renewal. All the time grouping users by assets deposited and ENS renewal dates in order to save costs on token exchanges and transaction gas.
3 weeks later.
Okay, so this is the Stake Your Name website. I'm going to be quite brief because there isn't much to it. Let's get started. Connect our MetaMask account. I've just made a new account and gone to the Aave faucet. We need to approve what we're about to deposit. I'm going to stake the name Alice because that's what I use at the weekends. I just need to wait for our approval to come through. We actually have a choice of tokens. Oh, there's our approval already. Why not? Let's get our name staked. Currently we don't actually support the other domain names. It's only ETH, but we're gonna have to work on that. Once this transaction's gone through, we will have created a vault which will deposit our 100 DAI as a DAI. Here it is. There's our vault address. 100 DAI has already started accruing some interest. We've staked the name Alice. There's 13 days left. I'm going to help Bob out. I'm going to also help fund his name. While I'm waiting for that transaction, let's have a look at our vault. It's here on Etherscan. We can see it's freshly minted contract 29 seconds ago. Already it has all the ADI in there. You can read and write the contract directly because it's all verified. Let's go back. Here we go. Transaction's just finished in time. Bob has 44 days. Now, I'm not going to wait for the Stake Your Name contract to do the renewal automatically. So I'm just going to go to the back end and just give it a little poke. Once that transaction goes through, we should see that Alice is within the renewal period. Her time should increase and the funds will decrease, whereas Bob will stay on 44 days because he's not within the minimum renewal period. Thanks for watching. Looking forward to any questions you may have.
Daniel, this is one of the best presentations I've ever seen. This is awesome. So congrats on a really good and consistent and concise demo, but also on doing this the first time and submitting for your first hackathon. This is awesome.
Thanks.
I mean, I have a couple of questions, but I'll let our judges go first.
Yeah, no worries.
I'll just start off. I thought this was extremely cool. I'm actually, my first thought is, even though this is used for ENS specifically in this particular use case, it seems like this could be made very generic. Like we need to throw like a kind of a protocol layer of like being able to pay for sort of subscription services and this sort of stuff. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, 100%. That's one thing I realized straight away is for me to automatically get the renewals once a month, I could just use my A token interest to call the Ethereum alarm service. Then once I've integrated with that, that's potentially something I could offer to the users. So you could then deposit, and instead of reading your ENS name, you could also use that to trigger an Ethereum alarm service call to poke your contracts whenever you want. And other things, it's basically turning deposits into sort of low cost subscriptions, like you can just manage them.
That's really cool. And I mean, I think, I know a bunch of teams who are looking for talented spokespeople like you. So we definitely would love to stay in touch because you're a great evangelist. You mentioned this is your first time working with Solidity. Like, what elements do you find challenging, frustrating, like liberating, joyful? Like, how's the experience?
I think it's been like a steep learning curve. Definitely, I could have done this whole thing much easier. Like 1 week in, I just had a complete code rewrite because I was just doing stuff wrong. Just figuring out how to test net. Like everyone tests on their own local ganache, which is what I set up originally. But then I just didn't have the integrations. So I just couldn't so I ended up having to I used the Aave testnet, which is absolutely fantastic on Kovan, but there's no ENS testnet. Then well, there is, but it doesn't do the back-end renewals. It just gives you a name for free, which is a bit annoying. And so I ended up having to simulate my own 1-inch, my own ENS, and do all that. But then I could use Aave, and I could use Chainlink. Chainlink actually are pretty awesome on the testnets as well. Yeah.
I just want to say welcome to the developer community in Ethereum.
Thank you.
It was just basic, variations of my questions have already been asked, but I was curious to understand, like, are you planning on continuing this thing? Like, it was actually, I think there's a lot more potential for things outside of ENS as well. So I'd love to kind of see what your plans are on.
Yes, I really hope to continue this. Actually, with my personal circumstances, I've just decided to completely change career and just go into this. And I've already had interest in the last few days because I was putting some pull requests on some other projects I was looking at. And so, yeah, I'm totally got my first contract. I might be looking into this career. So I'm not going to have so much time to do on this project because I'm going to be working for other people. But yeah, I want to continue this and hopefully get that alarm service integration and then look at some other stuff after that.
Well, this is amazing. Well, congrats and welcome to the Web3 community. Hope you continue building this and do more things beyond just this too.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again. And thanks again for presenting. So with that, we are ready to move on to our next demo, and that is Team Fuji Borrow. And whenever you're ready, feel free to kick off with your video.
Hi, we're Team Fuji, and today I will introduce Fuji Borrow. In the current DeFi ecosystem, there has been a big focus on projects that aggregate yield earning, and not much attention has been set on aggregating borrowing rates. Today, borrowing markets in DeFi appear isolated, and it's not uncommon to notice significant differences between the borrowing rates across the existing lending platforms. The current imbalance in borrowing markets and the difficulty for the average user to transfer a debt position from a lending platform to another has made us determine that these are problems that should be addressed. With this in mind, we have decided to build Fuji Borrow. Fuji Borrow is the first protocol that aggregates borrowing rates from multiple lending platforms and facilitates its pool of users to constantly refinance debt to the lowest interest rate available. For purposes of this hackathon, we have created a simple proof of concept, focusing only on aggregating two lending protocols and a single product line, ETH as collateral and DAI as the borrowing asset. Fuji Borrow consists of 5 core elements: a debt token contract based on Aave's debt token standard, a vault, a controller, a flasher contract, and a proxy contract inspired by Instap for each provider. We also use Chainlink Price Oracle to keep healthy collateralization ratios, and I will explain the elements with a user story. Upon the creation of a vault, the controller calls a function that scouts the lending protocols for the current borrowing rates. The controller determines the best provider, which is then set as the active provider of the vault. Users who intend to borrow will interact with the vault contract. The vault receives users' collateral and then executes the deposit and borrowing operations by using the vault's active provider. At the end of the user's transaction, the vault calls the debt token contract and updates the user's debt balance accordingly. When other users interact with the vault, the controller scouts the markets, and if it identifies a better rate, it sets a new provider. The controller then calls the flasher contract, which receives funds and calls logic from the vault to transfer collateral and debt position from one provider to another. To end our user story, the debt token balances get updated as mentioned previously, and the cycle continues. Now, let's move on to the demo. We have built a simple experimental front end, enabling users to manage their debt position. First, they connect their wallet and launch the app. On the next page, they can see which is the provider currently used by the protocol and get advice on how to keep their debt position safe. For entering a debt position in DAI, they need first to supply ETH as collateral. We simplify users' experience by enabling them to do both actions in a single transaction. The user confirms the transaction and then receives the borrowed amount. Next, there's a dashboard where one can manage an open position. In similarity to credit unions, we want Fuji users not only to benefit from the advantageous borrowing rates, but also be owners of the profit generated by the protocol. Fuji Borrow could greatly reduce the cost for borrowers at the micro level, but also be beneficial to the whole DeFi ecosystem by smoothing high differences in the borrowing markets and empowering the base protocols with stability. Some ideas in the near term include the concept of soft liquidations and issuing fixed rate bonds. Fuji Borrow is the first step in our vision to provide affordable DeFi services. Follow us on Twitter to keep up with the project's evolution. And on behalf of the Fuji team, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll let our judges ask questions. Before that, I just got a question for all of you. How did you know each other before the hackathon, or how'd you meet, or how was it working like with different time zones and different people?
I think we used the recruiting section that was organized by the ETHGlobal team, and that's pretty much how we met.
Awesome. Well, congrats on shipping this collectively and also working together in an entirely different setting. So that's great.
Thanks.
This is really cool, guys. Great work. Would love to hear how you're thinking about like sort of developing the protocol further for application in fixed rate bonds. How would that work exactly in your mind?
So in terms of the fixed bond, the idea that we presented at the end is that we want to have also our own pool of liquidity so we can leverage positions either with the existing protocols, so that we can have some liquidity on ourselves and don't rely 100% on the base protocols. That will give us some security for our users, and yeah, that's my way to explain it.
Yeah, and yeah, we were thinking to because we know all the collateralization ratios of all the users, and like to take the ones that have the healthiest positions, and to sell bonds for the best for the best borrowers at a rate that is probably lower and fixed in time.
Yes, this is super cool. I was actually curious. I'm assuming like on the back end, the way the vaults work is they're kind of wrappers around CDPs. So I imagine like theoretically you could you could expand this to any collateral type that Maker like actually worked with. Is that right? Like, would that be kind of one of the next things you guys would want to do?
Yeah. I think the idea right now was just to prove that to ourselves that it works, that we could transfer, positions from one platform to another. But yeah, I mean, the idea is to grow in more tokens. And
yeah, I think also like it's quite interesting, like how like interest rate differs still, like, and no one has kind of arbitrage those rates. So definitely like something like this will help to settle the consumption, because of course there's different reasons why rates are, let's say, now lower than for example in other protocols, for example in what you presented in Aave, and also like there's different kinds of risk parameters involved in collaterals. So but it's fascinating to see how much there's difference, and I think this is quite interesting, especially if you can rebalance whenever rates fluctuate. What about, did you guys see there's the stable rate as well in Aave, and did you guys think about using it somehow?
Yeah, sure. So we have created like an interface that is allowing the four basic actions like deposit, borrow, repay, and withdraw. And like this interface, it will be implemented for every provider. And Aave stable rate is like, it could be considered like a different provider. And each time the controller scouts the markets, it checks also if the stable rate is better than the variable rate or the other providers.
Cool, that's nice. Amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and congrats again on demoing, and I hope you continue working on the project.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to our next team.
Thank you.
And that is Project FidoByte. So I think you're already here. Whenever you're ready, feel free to present.
Sounds good.
Hi everyone, Emily here to introduce my team's project, FidoByte, a tokenized shelter dog walking protocol for the MarketMake hackathon. So before we get started, I want to take this moment to introduce ourselves. My name is Emily and my role is mainly product design and front-end engineering.
Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Hong, and for this hackathon, I mainly did Solidity development and front-end engineering.
Hi, my name is Joseph Corrado. My role in this project was primarily as a Solidity developer and database engineer.
We were particularly interested in looking at animal shelters. So shelters have a limited budget and the number of walkers have definitely been impacted as a result of the pandemic. Thus, there is an increased need to incentivize more walkers to be active on the platform.
In addition, new dog walkers often have a hard time building a reputation on many of the mainstream dog walking apps, having to cut their rates in order to gain more clientele. On our platform, dog walkers can acquire badges, which can help dog walkers distinguish themselves from other dog walkers after having achieved certain positive benchmarks over their dog walking history.
By tokenizing the walks of shelter dogs, we are attempting to subsidize the cost of a walk for animal shelters while also helping build up a platform transferable reputation for walkers.
So essentially, a shelter will register for a WAG account. Here, walker GPS data such as distance, minutes, and end time will be tracked by the app, and this data can be inserted through MongoDB GraphQL database.
From the front end, walkers can request to be paid out walk tokens, which are queried from the MongoDB's database via the use of an Oracle contract and a Chainlink external adapter.
After they have their tokens, they can choose between either upgrading their badge level, buying a limited edition dog toy NFT, or they can redeem 1 DAI per 100 walk tokens. And this DAI is deposited into Aave to accrue interest while it's unused. Our tech demo of FidoByte. So here we're going to create a badge. Right now the level is 0 because we don't have an account. Now that I've created a badge, it's showing a level of 1. Right. Next, we're going to claim our walk tokens. So this is based on how many walk we've done, the distance we've walked, how many dogs we've walked, the time walked. The total payment so far is 1,500 walk tokens. All right. So let's say I just took Mochi out for another walk for 23 minutes. I'm going to insert that into the MongoDB database, which connects to a GraphQL API endpoint. In reality, the data will be inputted automatically from WAG's API. So if I query the Oracle again and claim these new tokens, it's going to show, okay, that last walk gave me 25 walk tokens. I can also update my badge in the top right. This is a NFT, so right now it's showing a level of 1. And after updating, it's going to show a level of 3. I can also redeem 1 DAI per 100 walk tokens. So this DAI is deposited in Aave while it is kind of unused to generate interest. And upon redemption, then it will withdraw the DAI from Aave. So here you can see I spent 500 walk tokens and got 5 DAI. Lastly, we can also buy limited edition toy NFTs. So this can be redeemed at the shelter for the actual toy. There's only 20 being sold and it costs 1,000 walk tokens. So after I buy it, I can see my balance went down and it says bought new doggy toy. This is all on the subgraph, and here you can see it connects from 3 separate contracts. Now that you've seen our tech demo, we want to show you the 4 main contracts that we used for our project. Feel free to pause here or can come back and ask us questions about this later.
For our roadmap in 2021, we're looking forward to reaching out to nearby dog shelters and dog walking platforms to better understand the market for our products.
Next, we will demo FidoByte with a set of walkers on the Coven testnet to make sure that the API and the security of the protocol is seamless.
Afterwards, we will expand our NFT marketplace and look for more potential partners.
And finally, pending positive feedback from potential clients, we're aiming to deploy to the Ethereum mainnet by summer this year.
Thank you for your time, and let us know if you have any questions.
Awesome. Well, that was really cool. I want to say I think you guys are putting proof of work to a whole new level. This is really nice. I think it'll even go. I like the NFT touch too. So what I'll do is I'll let our judges go in first and ask questions. But yeah, this is really fun and a really practical use case.
Yeah, I don't think I can like walk my neighbor's dog the same way anymore. I mean, that was super cute and very like beautifully presented as well. So well done, guys. I think it sounds like you've got a good roadmap, laid out. Have you thought about sort of extending this to other sort of physical activities aside from like dog walking, or like, how extensible do you think this is?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Yeah, we thought about it because we noticed this as a problem for many like X as a service platforms. Like if you're on, for example, Instacart at the start of the pandemic, they actually reset the reviews on all of their like shoppers. So people who had been on the platform like years kind of generating those reviews were reset to 0, and they had to cut their prices, and it was like really hard competition. We chose animal shelters just because we saw it as kind of a two-way problem of like both the walkers have an issue as well as the shelters. So it was easier for us to start there, kind of pull both sides to a platform. But definitely can be expanded more. Haven't fully thought out what other services yet. Because I think the other nice thing is the fact that WAG already collects the GPS data for us, which saves on a lot of much more difficult technical implementation.
I love the design for this. It's very cute. The art's really nice too. I'm very curious. Like, just have you done any or talked to any sort of real world dog related businesses? Like, and I'm getting to and sort of curious about what their attitudes on crypto are. I guess like that's kind of always my big question whenever there's these integrations with like traditional or like normal style businesses, how they feel about crypto, if they're weirded out by it or they're excited by the prospect.
Yeah, I think that's where we're planning on kind of taking this to the Brooklyn Animal Care Center where I adopted Mochi. And also I used to do wag walking, so I can try to find some people there. And the plan is just to pitch it to them and see what they say. They're eager to go, but just be like, what am I looking at? Or they might be like, all right, what is this gonna cost? But yeah, we're interested in that too, because it's like, we're looking into how do we bridge kind of Web 2 into Web 3, because it feels like there's a lot of Web 2 applications that could be bridged. It's just finding the easiest way to get it done once, and then other platforms will probably be like, oh, okay, now we can copy that. But yeah, I have no idea what they're going to say.
I love the kind of the tokenization of toys. That's super awesome. Like it's interesting to see. Like, I mean, you could there could be all kinds of things you could develop on that. That's a pretty nice thing. I would love to buy something. I mean, if you guys continue also that part of the roadmap,
Of course, yeah.
There's a lot of dogs in our family as well. So that's a way to support as well.
Yeah, we were also looking at trying to integrate like dogs into Aavegotchi in some way. If we could like basically take a shelter's dog and put it in there.
That would be cool.
Yeah, but we were looking into that, but we didn't have enough time to kind of test all of that out. But definitely trying to think of like the NFT side would be where most of the expansion would be. Yeah.
That is really cool. Well, I think not only just, I think you already said it, which is finding more easier way to bridge Web 2 and Web 3, I think is where things are headed. And I think just for the next few months and this year, like just layer 2s and just more normalization of how stablecoins are used in day-to-day lives, I think just all that will make it a lot more possible. So if you are choosing to continue working on this thing, there'll be a lot of opportunities to make this appealing to everybody who's not directly into crypto. So congrats again, and hopefully this gets into Aavegotchi and we can get some nice NFTs.
Thank you.
Perfect. So thanks again for presenting. We are at the halfway point now, and what we'll be doing is we'll just be taking a 5 to 10 minute break for all of our judges, and we'll just be resuming in a few minutes from there. So maybe one just quick thing I'll do is I'll have all of our judges just join the other link for a couple minutes, and then we'll be back here in 5 to 10 minutes after the break. So thanks everybody. Appreciate all of your patience.
Okay, everyone. We're just waiting a minute or two. I am the returning MC. I'm Andrew from ETHGlobal, taking over for Kartik. Thanks, everyone. We'll just take a minute or two more till the next team is ready. Stand by. Alrighty. And the next team is called TheraId. If you can start your screen share and start your demo, we shall begin.
Hello guys, what's up?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the video. I hope this presentation can be quick and not longy, okay? Due to technical issues, this is not the best.
We're having some audio trouble there, TheraId.
So TheraId, individual documents are components of our day-to-day life. We have to have them with us at all times, and they shouldn't be able to be copied. TheraId is an ERC-71 that represents an individual's ID, and people should be presentable with this extra layer of identification. This form of individuality, human and crypto identification would benefit security worldwide. So the stores are the location for presentable KYC reasons. We would issue their ID through IPFS. It would look something like this. Okay. We could create various utilities around the CRC 721. One use case that I'm presenting here would be this yearly Halloween theme. In this case, the users would have to have this TheraId in their wallet, and they would be for their costume theme. In this case, ghosts. But we don't know yet, right? We should validate these votes. So, can Yarn validate these votes? It's connected to the Gucci, and this should change. Yeah, it's already recharging, and now Ghost is winning. So I tested this out with C5 accounts. This is for showing. The minting of these tokens can be done on Mumbai or Matic. And I think that's about it for this demo. The minting would be direct to the address, and we would give it a token ID, and then we would just pass in the JSON PC of the location of the token and change the photo. In this case, we would redo the design for each person at the moment of launching to Pinata or whichever IPF the IPFS program would be preferable at the time of the launch. But this would be it, and I think that's the main idea. Some example cases would be organization for simple meatball and chicken Friday. You know, you could organize your votes, your employees. With the console, you can have specific TheraIDs in the console, and you guys would have the voting power of this. And TheraID could also be used to choose your next employee. So you can make votings on which employee you prefer. I think that's about it. I hope you guys like this idea and how we can change our world.
Well, all right. Thanks. I had a little bit of audio issue, so I don't know if everyone else did. But if you can open up to questions now from the judges.
Guys. Sure.
Hey, Derek. Yeah, there was some
Stani.
definitely a bit of audio issues.
So
a bit of lag, but in essence, like so if I understood, it's an ID, and you can practically maintain like ERC-71 or like or.
Well, it will need to be totally.
I think we're having some audio issues again there.
Yeah,
the first thing that we got to do is security. Develop proof for zero.
Oh, yeah,
hear me now?
There is a great amount of lag. We hear one word and then the word drags. It's very difficult.
But what about now? Is it better?
Yeah,
Is it better,
a bit
Stani?
better. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Brazilian Amazon rainforest internet. So yeah, basically we would have to work really. Yes, I'm literally. So we would have to really organize like stores or gift shops to actually start organizing this into a fourth industrial revolution like city. So in this case, all of the cases we would have to pass in through a strong KYC before actually transferring this particular unique exclusive ERC-721, so there would be actually kind of like an organization where you put in the documents are seen by the person, passed on to another one that designs the person, takes a photo of the person at the moment, and after that execution he receives his 721 by the minter of that center point. So I believe that we could organize this and then use. I didn't have time to actually hack totally Aave governance, but I really wished, because until yesterday I was practicing this ERC-721 ID and ERC-1155. So let's say a population of a city is 2.5 million. We would generate just not the TheraId, but the 1155, and these two would be like the entry points into using Aave governance, and then maybe we can have an extra security stamp there before taking any loans out of, by normal people or anything like that. So I didn't have time to hack your incredible Aave system totally. Congratulations, Stani, the math is incredible. I didn't have time for that, but I was just checklisting before doing all of that with normal people. Sometimes we're talking about people that don't even know what internet is. So if we give them such a strong and powerful system in their hands, the checklisting to use it should be passed on, So I was actually thinking about that when I started planning the TheraId, and I got to this point. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I think there's sort of potential. Like, it's always difficult data storing after the KYC and how to make it. But one interesting thing about KYC usually is how to reuse it. You do it once and you don't have to do it again, and you have this tokenization ERC-71. So that's something that's interesting development.
Thank you.
Yeah, just want to say it's very cool. I'm curious. I'm always curious about this. People who build systems related to identity verification and voting. What are your thoughts on vote buying and delegation? Like, would your system try to create systems to prevent it, or would in your mind, should the system instead embrace it?
Well, the system is the people, and you gotta believe in the people. So when we're talking about governance and decentralized governance, you have to also account for the human being, the human behind the token. So we have to really understand society, and that's why we're given this power. We're given this power as developers to enhance people's lives, and we have to understand that the people in the end are going to be the users. So I can't promise things like that. We have to, that's an educational point. Then we have to talk about crypto education and how to use these tokens and measure the education of the children, and all of that is possible because you're going to have the ERC 721 that's totally KYC, and that's like something that you can use as information maybe. So yeah, it's a goal point. We have to start smart cities at one point, and I really believe that this is the go-to point, where people can just have on the Matic network or Mumbai test network the IDs, and they have this extra security, like, okay, give me your IDs, give me your this, okay, now show me your electronic ID, and the person has it in the MetaMask, So I think that's actually the point of the project, using technology that is there, that's been developed by extremely well-developed teams, and just mashing it up together to create this society that I think it's possible. I see it happen. So that's the idea.
And that puts us at time.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you so much. That was super cool, and glad to see you're down there in the rainforest, staying connected.
We gotta try to do something.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Our next team is Fiber. Please share your screen and start your video. Remember to share audio. We're not getting any audio. If you could unshare and restart your share screen, and then before you go all the way through in the Zoom, after you hit share screen, you hit share computer audio. Wow.
Sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
We are Team Fiber, and this is our MarketMake 2021 Hackathon submission. Our team consists of 2 people. Ben, who worked on the Web3 data and logic, the serverless backend, and the React application, and myself, Callum. I worked on graphics and UI design, as well as the price data API integration. Together, we built Fiber, a flash loan analytics tool for displaying flash loans in real time. Fiber offers an easy-to-interpret summary of what happened in each flash loan transaction. Real-time data and interpretability are the core elements of Fiber's security and analytics value proposition. Fiber was designed with 2 groups of users in mind. The first are DeFi protocol teams, who need to understand how flash loans interact with their protocol's contracts in real time. Fiber aims to be a security monitoring tool for these teams. The second group is anyone doing on-chain analytics. Fiber aims to deliver understandable data in real time, helping to understand what flash loans are being used for on the network, which may be important in an investment thesis. I will now go through our product demonstration. This is the Fiber app. The most important part is the flash loan feed. This feed displays flash loans in real time as soon as Fiber detects them. Flash loan cards contain an overview of the flash loan, including the date and time it executed, the loan amount in US dollars, the assets that were borrowed, the transaction hash, the block number, and the sender address, all of which are clickable and will take you to the correct page on Etherscan. The card also includes a list of icons illustrating the smart contracts that the flash loan interacted with. We currently show icons for popular ERC20 assets, A tokens, the 2 versions of Aave's lending pool contract, and various Uniswap pools. The search feature lets a user quickly find all the flash loans that have interacted with a specific. Just copy in the contract's address and click search. We're currently building up Fiber's library of historic flash loan data, which will make the searching, filtering, and more advanced analytics possible. If you want to return to the standard live feed after a search, just click the reset button. The user can also quickly jump to historic flash loans by using the page button. And finally, there are two useful indicators at the top of the app to confirm that things are running smoothly. First, a check to see if a WebSocket connection to the network has been established. And second, to confirm the app is up to date with the latest block on the network. This leads us to Fiber's roadmap. Firstly, we currently only support Aave v2 flash loans, but are working on supporting v1 flash loans as well. Secondly, we want to add deeper analytics and auto-categorization of each flash loan. And finally, Fiber will soon offer customizable alerts for DeFi teams to help them respond to unexpected flash loans interacting with their protocols. If you feel like aping into our beta release of Fiber, you can put your email addresses on our mailing list here, and we'll reach out when Fiber is ready for its first users.
That was awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Open to questions now.
I could start. I think this is exactly area that, there's like a lot of potential. I think there isn't enough tools at the moment to analyze things on chain, and secondly, to provide kind of like tools for the DeFi protocols and the teams and whoever are the stakeholders. And I think it's quite nice that you could actually see flash loans, and probably there's other kind of interactions as you guys mentioned that you're adding more support, especially like notifications and getting those notifications into all the way into SMS. So practically many themes has very kind of like, I would say, like various ways to the wire DAI vault drainage, the exploit. I probably got it like 2 minutes after it happened, or 1 minute after it happened, but I didn't monitor anything like that, so I got it from someone else, and I happened to be awake. But getting, especially if it's related to your protocol, you need to get the information as soon as possible to mitigate. So these kind of tools are heavily important and extremely underdeveloped area. So I was very happy to see, and this kind of product will have a long roadmap if you are taking further.
Thanks, Stani.
This is super cool. I want to look at this now actually and read through them. I'm curious, just what kind of additional information would you guys think about adding next to like the flash loan analysis?
So we really want to focus on, I think, primarily the security aspect of it, and chatting to DeFi teams, especially those with high TVL in their protocols, and probably loop in the auditors as well. And obviously build in the real-time alerts so that we can then alert, especially the teams and the multi-sig signers who need to act on this and maybe tweak parameters and shut down vaults, for example. But then once we've got that, to sort of identify and flag flash loans that do pose a threat when interacting with these smart contracts versus ones that are perhaps harmless.
Yeah, I think this is amazing. And it's like Stani said, like anytime something like this happens, it's just like an hour down the rabbit hole, even from technical people. So totally appreciate that it's best used as a monitoring tool and can really improve the security of DeFi protocols. But I think there's a big educational element as well, just making like this very readable to like common like DeFi participants, so they're also aware of the risks, like as consumers and users of protocols. So great job.
Thank you. Yeah, that was actually one thing we thought of after we made the presentation, is if we could manage to interpret each flash loan and then sort of decode it into a more natural language description. It could, one, be very useful to analysts and teams on the security front, but it could also be used as an educational tool, and perhaps like as a side thing, we could build out a kind of an educational series of like how one can go about doing their own flash loans.
yeah, for example, the white die vault, it had practically over 160 different transactions and 75% of the whole block. That's one particular action and less transactions. So definitely that will be something very useful, especially if you can get others to contribute to explain.
That's awesome. That's great. We're at time again, but thanks so much for sharing. That was cool.
Thanks, guys.
Our next team is Team dVIX, if I said that right.
That's correct.
All right.
You got it right.
And just share your screen. Remember to share audio.
DeFi lacks tools to protect against and trade volatility. This is problematic because it's difficult to hedge portfolios or hedge in permanent loss, or even just speculate on volatility. This is why we made dVIX. dVIX, or Decentralized Volatility Index, is a protocol that allows for the building of model-free, near real-time volatility index feeds of any decentralized or centralized asset that has a robust derivatives market. Using dVIX, we made an ETH volatility index feed and a BTC volatility index feed. You can see these live at dvix.io. To calculate the volatility feeds, we pull real-time options data from Deribit and exchange and interest data from Aave. Once we have the data, dVIX then calculates volatility using a modified CBOE VIX formula, the current gold standard. The methodology of the calculation can be found in our GitHub repo. We also designed two simple tools for the UMA data verification mechanism so that anyone can verify the feed or the saved data. Technical users can make a simple API call, and non-technical users can input the values into a spreadsheet that calculates the index. Here you can see that I simply just paste the data into the spreadsheet. This is all of the Deribit options data, and it automatically calculates the ETHGlobal index. With these simple ways for users to verify the calculation, and with the live index feeds, dVIX is perfect for making synthetic tokens on UMA. The best part about dVIX is that you can make volatility feeds and tokens for non-crypto assets. With all the hype these past several weeks, think how incredible it would have been to trade volatility on GameStop, or AMC, or silver. dVIX will give users a decentralized way to do this.
And quickly, we do have the synthetics from UMA on Coven right now, but they're not in our video. We were waiting on the price identifier to be approved by their team. And also, the BTC VIX tracked the huge price movement this morning when Tesla announced that they were buying $1.2 billion.
Now I think we're back in business, guys. I really appreciate that.
That's great. That's great. Let's open it up to questions.
This is awesome. This is another one I would really actually like to use this. I actually tried to get in. I have a question related to the mention of synthetic assets. I tried to get in on synthetic silver using SNX actually, and I did, but I was interested in the fact that basically their counterparty is sort of just a giant pool of liquidity. So in this system, who exactly would the counterparty be for such a thing? Like, say I wanted to take a position on volatility of silver. Would that just be somebody else in the market, or is there like a specific liquidity provider for it?
Yeah, somebody else in the market. So if you want to, basically the way we have these structured now is that if you want to short volatility, you're going to put up the collateral. So if you think the asset is not going to be volatile, you'd put up the collateral and you'd mint the token and then sell it on Uniswap. And to kind of really kind of make that feasible, we have a very short duration for our tokens right now. So 1 week out. We thought if we put it out 30 days, that with the volatility of the space, nobody would want to put up the collateral.
That makes a lot of sense. I think that makes a lot more sense actually than synthetics. Their infinite liquidity confused me. This is much more reasonable. Yeah.
So practically, like one thing is interesting. Like, you know, trading the interest rate volatility. And you mentioned the Aave that you guys are using, but that's not actually the trading of the volatility of also the interest rates, or was that also kind of like there?
So to calculate the VIX formula, when they calculated it on the S&P 500, they used the T-bill interest rate, the Treasury rate. And so you need to understand what the rate is on Ethereum, the risk-free rate, to be able to calculate what the volatility will be. So if I were to have just placed that Ethereum into Aave to earn interest, what is that rate over the 14-day period? And that goes into our calculation to understand how volatile it is.
Yes, very interesting. Have you considered actually also that you could trade the volatility on interest rates itself, because they do fluctuate quite a lot in DeFi, usually because of some farms or something, but there's sort of fluctuation.
It's totally possible to trade really the volatility of practically any asset. However, the way that the kind of CBOE VIX formula is designed, it's all based on derivatives. So unless there's an active derivatives market for the asset, it's not really possible to calculate volatility in this particular model. That said, we're looking at, we're going to do different indexes and different models. So right now we're using a model-free calculation modality that's built by the CBOE. It's kind of the gold standard, as we said in the video. But we're looking at lots of other mechanisms for, including Black-Scholes and, lots of Garch style models. There's lots of different ways to calculate volatility, and that's we're going to touch on a lot of them over the weeks and months.
Could be also funny to trade volatility on rebased tokens.
Yeah, that would be interesting for sure.
Well, all right. Just about puts us at time. If there are no more questions, that was really cool. Much appreciated.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for all the work.
Thanks, guys.
Our next team is Crypto Portfolio DeFi Token. You guys can share your screen and we'll feel free to go.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to demo my work so far. This is not a complete working app or fully functional smart contract just yet. So my idea was to create an exchange that would represent a portfolio of tokens, whether it represent an index of leading tokens by market capitalization, or tokens from a given industry such as DeFi or privacy tokens. I use Scaffold ETH exclusively to create the token and deploy the EXTT token to the Kovan testnet. I also use Scaffold ETH Lend to add the token to the Aave lender platform. Austin Griffith and Adam Fuller were very helpful in putting me on the right path and using the right tools that I needed to do that. Unfortunately, with the Aave lender platform, I wasn't able to list the EXTT token. I was just about to do that. I kind of ran out of time toward the end. So let's take a look at a demo of the app. Okay, if you recall, Austin did a video tutorial with us about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and he showed us how to distribute the token to a vendor, which was very cool, and then have it run on Kovan. So here we've got the exchange traded token, its symbol, its total supply is 10 ETH. And here's our vendor here. So in my wallet up here, I have almost 4 ETH, 3 and change, almost 4. So that would allow me to buy up to that much amount of EXTT from the vendor. So I'm gonna use 1 ETH. I'm gonna buy 1 ETH's worth. Let's see how that goes. All right, so I'm gonna click send over here. I'm gonna bring up the old MetaMask, confirm it. All right, it's gonna go through the Kovan blockchain, which we all know is wicked fast. See, and if you look at our total, we now have 1 ETH additional of the EXTT token. All right, if I had a bit more time, I believe I would have explored UMA's synthetic tokens. I was just about to look into that. I found out about that last week. And I also would have tied in Chainlink oracles into the mix for pricing. So when we were talking about the portfolio of different tokens within that portfolio token, the Chainlink oracles would have been really nice to update the pricing of the underlying instruments that were inside of the token that I was creating. But I guess that's for another time. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for watching.
All right. Thanks, John. Open it up to questions.
Thank you, John, for this.
Go ahead.
Oh. Thanks, Alex. This is really cool. I mean, I can see the convenience factor being like a really big draw for a lot of people. Like, could you maybe share if you had a bit more time, what are some other things that you would, want to add to the project and some other features that you want to build going forward? And is this something that you want to explore further?
Sure. Looking at all of the other presentations, it looks like fixed income instruments, packaging them together into one token would have been a fantastic use for it and a really good fit for the Aave lending platform. I could actually envision maturities from short-term maturities, like a token that had those loans in it, medium term, and then longer term tokens. So you could really capitalize on the convenience for somebody who may not be, as experienced in the crypto world as we are.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I agree as well. And also, it's pretty cool that you use the scaffolding. I mean, I think Austin pretty much did it for this hackathon, or somehow wanted to at least release for now to make it easier to kind of bootstrap development on Ethereum. So it was amazing that you actually used that, and definitely that practically having kind of a basket is a good way to start something, to build something, and it's quite fascinating. And I agree on the fixed. This is something very much needed. Fixed loans and borrows and fixed income DeFi.
Just want to say very cool. I'm just curious, what for a first batch, what sort of tokens would you think of putting in such an index?
I think I would probably do. They would have to be ERC20 so that I could use Uniswap and I could use Aave. So I would think maybe a basket of DeFi tokens might be the best idea, because if you had to switch in and out of positions and using Uniswap, it would be one platform that you could pretty much do all of them with. So that would be my first choice.
Well, that's great. That's awesome.
Sorry about that. Can I ask you guys one quick question? Do I have time?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think, what platform might be the best out of everything that was supported in this hackathon? Which do you something like?
Well, I can't say much because I mean, obviously Aave is good, but you know, you mean the fixed loans or which specifically?
I'm sorry. Say it one more time.
Were you referring to the fixed loans? Fixed loans or?
Yeah, I'm actually like everything that we were taught. Like we used Matic, we used Scaffold E. Yeah, I mean, which of those do you think would be the best fit into Aave? Let's say I were to take it in the direction of using doing fixed income instruments in a token, packaging them.
I think having in layer 2, like in Matic, could be interesting thing. You know, if you package them and people can trade them, because those things, the more frequently you trade, the more frequent interest rate you have. So I think that's quite interesting.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, John. Appreciate it. That was cool. Our next team is Team EBT. I think you guys are already promoted, and feel free to share.
Great. So can everybody hear me? Just mic check. This is Eli.
Yes.
Awesome. So what I have here is a bunch of food stamps. So these are actual paper food stamps. So in the US, there's like 22% of the population that live on food stamps, and they still use paper. And there's like $128 billion that's going through the system. And one of the problems with the food stamp system is that you can't shop online, you can't do any digital transactions. You know, it's still a paper system. So I grew up on food stamps, and we got a bunch of hackers together that were passionate about like social impact. And we said, let's build a solution that takes food stamps, you know, into Ethereum world, and let's figure out a better way how to build the whole food stamp system for the US. So that's what we worked on, and Tony's going to give a quick demo on what we came up with on how do we go from paper to something, you know, that they can use digitally. So go for the demo, Tony.
User will do demo. The first thing the user will do is to import their EBT card into our applications, and they will see the total balance and all the card information right here. So they have the option to send the money to their friends and family members, and also they can see all the transactions that are happening in their EBT account. On the right, we can see this account summary. So the user will have the option to take their EBT money and convert it into a stablecoin, Frax, or they can invest their money into Ethereum. So for example, they have $3,300 in EBT, and they invest in $100 in Ethereum, and they convert $100 to a stable coin. And because the volatility of Ethereum price, they will have the rate of return around like 3.5%, for example. And now let's look at the swap functionality. So here's the main page where users can perform the swaps. So they'll first select on the top the token that they want to switch from, and then on the bottom they select the token they want to switch into. So then they can enter the amount. Note that the exchange rate is applied automatically here. And when they click swap, it procs succeed, and then we see the account details updated accordingly. We also implemented a demo function of transfer. So we use the MetaMask account, and we import the account from Ganesh with some free users. So when the user wants to send money to someone, they first enter the address and the amount they want to send. Once they hit submit, it would take them to the MetaMask transactions. And once we confirm the transactions, you can see the balance is updated and the money is sent to the address. So this is our demo, and thank you for your time.
Awesome. Let's open it up to questions.
Hello and welcome to another LinkedIn Live Q&A, where I'm delighted to be joined by Richard Marsden, who is the co-founder and director of a new company called True North Digital. How are you doing, Richard?
I think I muted that. I think we're back now.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I play another video, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so opening things, and and you know, hear what you guys think about this.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing idea because, you know, I still don't understand like how, like we have a lot of legacy stuff in finance, but it's crazy how much legacy we have in, you know, like government stuff and you know, and you know, we have we like where from I come from, Finland, we don't have food stamps, but we definitely have different kinds of similar like purchase coupons. You know, if you as a family purchase something big and you need to get this like coupon from welfare, and you know everything is paper, and also like even like with the COVID and everything, like we see things getting digitalized, but you know it's still very legacy. So I think this kind of idea is wonderful, and when this idea is taken further and polish it very well, you know this is something they can actually go and pitch to governments and in local. I don't know how is this a like food stamps a federal scheme? I have no idea, but you know this could be something quite interesting. It requires a lot of work to get it exactly what the governments want, but there's a lot of potential like in the future. And I think the impact cost here is amazing.
Yeah, so this is like a real problem that's right now affecting like lots of people. And that's why we said we wanted to build something people want. And people on food stamps, all they want to be able to do is, you know, increase power, be able to shop digitally. And we said, instead of like, you know, just giving them a virtual card like on Visa or something else, let's just jump them, leapfrog them all the way into crypto. And then we even had another couple of cool ideas. Like maybe there's like a way we can, off of every transaction they do, they can start converting money into a savings account, whether that's Frax or Ethereum or FX. We were looking at coins and we were looking into Ethereum. So, but yeah, Tony might have some ideas too.
Yeah, this is really cool, guys. You know, great out of the box thinking, solving very like, you know, intractable societal problems. And I really like the like, you know, digital access angle as well. You know, do continue advocating for it. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of like, you know, Pull Together in a lot of ways too, like where you can just take small amounts and, you know, the power of compounding is such that, you know, a small amount could be a big amount one day. So love the direction that you're taking this.
Hey,
Tony,
yeah, I think it's okay.
Did you go ahead?
I was going to say this is very interesting. I'm curious if you've given any thought.
I just want to make sure. Sorry about that. I just want to make sure Tony got a sentence in because I didn't want to hog up all of the time, man. Because he's a great guy.
Oh no, go ahead. I think. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I just had a question. I was curious if you've given any thoughts to like how you would build an admin functionality, I guess, for the state for the token, since like a lot of the way the EBT and the food stamp systems work is specifically built to like make it difficult to transfer them to other people or sell them or do anything interesting with them.
Yeah, so the food stamp problem is a big problem that has a bunch of different like aspects that we did not focus on. What we wanted to focus on is what the users like feedback we got, and the users, they just want to be able to shop online, increase their purchasing power, and kind of like get into digital money. So the government hasn't done anything good for the program in the last 20 years. Like they've disenfranchised the poor, and the financial system is rigged so that they stay poor. So we said, well, if we were to reinvent the whole food stamp system, where would we reinvent it on? And we'd do it on Ethereum. That's where we would do it on. So we think we give the technology to people, and then the people, they can administer their food stamps the best way. And as long as it adheres to the rules and regulations within the food stamps, no alcohol, no tobacco, no other illicit products, things like that. But that's pretty, you know, doable.
That's awesome. It's an awesome idea. I'm so glad you guys presented it. We're at time for this presentation, but really appreciate it. Great work, guys. We're down to our last two teams. So we'll just press on without another small break, if that's okay. Our next team is Aave Credit Delegation. Share your screen and we can go.
I'm Viraj Anchan. For the MarketMake hackathon, I worked on Aave Credit Delegation. Aave Credit Delegation allows a depositor to deposit funds in the Aave protocol to earn interest and delegate borrowing power to other users. Here, delegator first deposits an asset to the Aave protocol. He then delegates the credit to the delegatee. Hence, delegatee can borrow an asset from the Aave protocol. It entirely depends on delegator on how we want to handle this. If delegator trusts the delegatee, then he would not take any collateral. However, there is also an option for the delegator to use off-chain assets provided by the delegatee as collateral. Hence, credit delegation democratizes DeFi by allowing people to collateralize their off-chain assets to get exposure to the on-chain assets. Now let me quickly show you a demo for Aave Credit Delegation. On the home page, the delegator first deposits an asset to the Aave protocol. Now that the deposit is successful, then the delegator would enter the address of delegatee over here. Then he'll select the rate. I've selected stable. Then he'll enter the amount that will be delegated. Here I'll enter 100. And for the token, I will select DAI. Then I'll click on delegate credit. Now the repay was successful. The subsequent improvements to this would be adding layer 2 support, adding support for gasless transactions, and adding more features which would be useful for delegator and delegatee. Example, grouped credit delegation. This concludes the demo for Aave Credit Delegation. Thanks.
Thank you, Viraj and team. Let's open up to questions.
I can start by saying that this is an interesting development because credit delegation has been available in the protocol, Aave protocol, but then you practically have to resolve it yourself by going to Etherscan and finding everything you want to need. So practically, this is the only user interface to do credit delegations seamlessly. So pretty cool that you made this effort and provided that user interface. And yeah, it looked pretty simple, and probably also you learned during this experience at least about credit delegation.
Yeah, like how the entire flow works. And say I could even say promote this and like explain this to other non-technical users.
Exactly. So I think that was a good thing.
Thanks.
And have you hacked before on Ethereum, or is this like a completely new thing for you?
No, I've hacked before on Ethereum.
Cool. Nice.
Thanks.
This is really cool. And, could you maybe think about some use cases where people would want to use this and which might prompt integration with any sort of projects that you might have in mind?
So the place where I think this would be useful is like people have a lot of assets, off chain, and they could then reach out to a person. Like you could have more features like group chat and maybe location-based discovery, etc. And which would allow them, to find other people who are willing to delegate the credit. Like say, for example, they don't want to go to an exchange to gain exposure to DeFi. So this is where credit delegation would be very useful.
Yeah, got it. Definitely. I could see that working out. This is cool. Good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, very cool demo. I'm just curious, what would you add next to it?
Group-based credit delegation and maybe gas list transactions and layer 2 support.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thanks.
That's great. Looks like if there are no more questions, awesome presentation. Really appreciate the work. And thanks a lot.
Thanks, Andrew.
We're now down to the final team of our session today. This is Team Zygo. Please feel free to share and we can start.
Hello, my name is James Dawson, and today I'll be introducing my hackathon submission, Zygo Finance. So what is Zygo Finance? Zygo Finance is a fully decentralized, priceless trading platform that was heavily inspired by the UMA protocol. Zygo uses a network of bots and both an on-chain ordering system and an on-chain settlement to create a seamless trading experience. Zygo protocol incentivizes the bots to make orders on behalf of other users by rewarding them with the Zygo token, and thus allowing us to create a fully decentralized limit ordering system that uses no price oracle. The bots will monitor trades coming in and the price of the current orders, and when the bot determines that the order will be profitable, including the Zygo token, they will execute the order on the user's behalf. Now we'll quickly go on to the demo, which I will show you the kind of ordering system in action. So here we will select some Aave and we will place an order for 1 Aave, and we want in exchange for our 1 Aave 1000 DAI. So once we approve both these tokens, we will send the 1 Aave to the Zygo protocol, which will be held in escrow. And once that gets approved, and I lose my buttons, so that'll be sent out, and then the order will actually be published on the blockchain that says this order wants 1 Aave to 1000 DAI, and the bots will monitor that order coming in and the price of Aave to DAI, and once the actual price reaches what is stated in the order, the bots will execute the order because they will send 1000 DAI to the Zygo protocol. They will receive the 1 Aave that was locked in, and they will receive the Zygo token as their incentive for processing the order on someone else's behalf. And this opens up a lot of really interesting and cool things that we can do with having fully decentralized on-chain orders. Allows us to actually use the money, use the actual funds to invest in Aave's lending pool, which you can see what I've done here is that actually while your order is waiting to be filled, you can actually earn interest on your limit orders, as you can see that we've done here. all of these orders are earning interest on their while they are waiting to be filled. So if you do a long-term limit order of, let's say, you want to buy wrapped Bitcoin at 1,000 DAI, you know, that might take years, if not ever happen, but you have $10,000 in there, you could be earning interest while also having that limit order being placed. And that is essentially the Zygo protocol. And I'd just like to say thank you very much to the ETHGlobal team. And yeah, I'll hope to see you soon. Bye-bye. Hey guys.
All right, thanks, James. Open up for questions.
This is really neat. Have you sort of, just thinking through it, have you considered sort of like what it would take to sort of add any sort of time limit order, and say like, that 1,000 WBTC is just never filled, like, is there a way to sort of recover it?
Yeah, you can cancel any order and retrieve your funds and the interest that you've earned, because the orders themselves are nothing more than just data stored on chain. It's the bots are doing all of the price checks, and they actually have the ability to use any liquidity pool that they want to. They're not trapped into it has to be done in Uniswap or has to be done this. So it's like they can, yeah, you can cancel orders immediately and get all your money back and things. You'll lose your Zygo fee. There's a fee to actually put to create orders, which is Zygo, and that is what essentially funds the system and the kind of tokenomics that would go to the bots who fill the orders.
Understood. Maybe like a follow-up from that, I'm just like, thinking out loud, do you see any sort of surface area for market manipulation of any sort?
I think it is reasonably foolproof, but there is one price oracle that is used, which is to determine the cost of Zygo to WETH, and that is gotten from the Uniswap pair and the V2 pair. So I use like a simple moving average to just get that current price ratio. And then what the Zygo protocol will do to ensure that bots will always be incentivized to actually fill orders during like high gas, it calculates how much gas the fill has cost, and it will transfer that in and give you extra Zygo to compensate you. Because if the gas fees are like 300 GUE, the minimal Zygo reward is not going to be enough. You need more to make sure that orders will always be filled regardless of gas price. But that's the only kind of outsourcing kind of price manipulation that I think. But yeah, it need to be audited to be foolproof.
Oh, this is awesome. Great submission. Thank you.
Thanks.
It was really neat. I'm actually curious why it's being specified that it has to be bots taking the order. Like, would there be any value you think into just exposing like a UI or something for an order book for normal humans?
Absolutely. It's just that because I actually, for that demonstration, I was approving it with a UI, so that the actual fill order was done with UI. I just would say it would be quite difficult to manage it, but if there would be an interest for it and a demand for it, yeah, absolutely.
Really cool, really cool. Yeah, besides what was said, it would be cool to actually extend this to the Aave collateral swap functionality. If ETH reaches something, swap it to something else, to stable event, and maybe close partially your loan position if collateral gets into certain position, like increase or decrease. That could be pretty interesting. I don't know if you have seen, like, Aave has this like a collateral swap and that deposit swap and closing your loan with the collateral, where you can actually play with this feature. I think this is quite interesting because you could actually like put the orders wherever you want in aggregator way. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, is this your second hackathon, right? Or
yeah.
I think second.
Second, yeah. I did Space DX last
Yeah,
time, which was the game.
very cool. And That was amazing, and that was first time you tried Ethereum. Cool.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So this was like
pretty cool.
The big DeFi plunge, so it's quite intimidated at first. I was like, what am I going to come up with? So I had no idea, but it's yeah, it was good. It started off with the limit ordering thing, and then I kind of realized that I could actually make interest on limit orders, which
that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I forgot to mention, like, actually, like, they're generating interest there.
Yeah. That was just like, yeah, because if you have the static funds, the problem with the current limit ordering systems that I've seen, they're all hybrids. So it's like you have on-chain settlements, but off-chain orders. So KyberSwap, for an example, they have a bot that runs themselves. So if you open up to having anyone's bot, you're actually increasing the decentralized nature of the actual limit ordering system, because they have a centralized point of weakness there. So it's by incentivizing the bots, more bots will come, there will be better kind of competition. And so orders should always be filled, hopefully, I guess. But
That's
cool.
awesome.
Cool.
That puts us at time. I don't know if there's any final questions, but if not, thanks a lot, James. Awesome hack.
Cheers, guys, and thank you very much for judging us all. Cheers.
And that brings us to the end. Thank you so much to the judges. Min, Alex, and Stani, thank you so much. There's a couple more sessions tonight and tomorrow of judging, and then closing ceremonies later this week, Thursday. So
thank you, Andrew. Awesome as always.
Thank you.
This is fun.
Thanks.
Thank you. Cheers.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, awesome. I'll hit you on the chat, Raymond. Just stick around in the Discord. And
okay, sounds good. Wait, also tomorrow we'll be joining at 12?
Yeah, that's okay.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's fine. Sounds good.
Thanks, Ray.
Okay, no problem.